Fridays are so weird. The kind of news that's dropped, they're just weird. I want you to listen to this. John F. Kerry, John D. Student Kerry, remember he was hiding his transcripts too? Because he's so smart, the way he talks, with all the affectation. The affectation, I'm John Kerry. You know, it takes him like 3 times as long to say what most of us would just say, and when he's done, you still don't know what the hell he said. But that face of his is really ballooning up. I don't know what they're doing, so it looks to me like they've been shooting mashed potatoes into his face. Hence, mashed potato face. John Kerry on CNN yesterday. Are we at war, John? Can you answer a simple question? Cut 1, go.
Kerry insists the U.S. is not at war with ISIS.
I think that's the wrong terminology. What we are doing is engaging in a very significant counterterrorism operation.
Wow. Well, that clears it up for me. Look, it's not a war. You know, look, that's a... Can't... Listen, it's a very significant counterterrorism operation. Now, I could have sworn 5.5 years ago our government banned the word terrorism. Do you remember that? Yes. We don't call it terrorism. No. Yes, we just call it improper action, or whatever they called it. So they wanted to dumb down the word terrorism because they know that language matters. Hey, GM lives and Bin Laden's dead. Well, Bin Laden's dead and GM's dying too, as best as I can tell with all the recalls, but that's a whole other story. So here we are. We have a very significant counterterrorism operation. Not a war. No. It's a very significant counterterrorism operation, and you show me where in the Constitution that requires congressional action. No, declaration of war, not declaration of a very significant counterterrorism operation. See, I got you. Go ahead.
And it's going to go on for some period of time. Yeah. If somebody wants to think about it as being a war with ISIL, they can do so, but the fact is it's a major counterterrorism operation that will have many different moving parts.
Oh, wait a minute. If you want to think about this as war in your own little world, well, go ahead. We here, the sophisticates in Washington, we don't view it as war. We view it as a major counterterrorism operation that will have many different moving parts. I think that's the definition of a war. Not, you may think of it as a war, but it's not. It's a major counterterrorism, whatever, but it's not a war. And we know this because the ever truthful, the embodiment of integrity, Susan Rice. She was on CNN yesterday, too. This is where they go, CNN and MSLSD. This isn't, no. Don't stop using the word war. Didn't you hear Mashed Potato Face? He said it's a major counterterrorism operation that will have many different moving parts. Cut 2, go.
It sounds like a war to me. Is it fair to call it a war?
Well, Wolf, I don't know whether you want to call it a war or a sustained counterterrorism campaign.
Oh, stop right there. Oh, they got their little talking points, don't they? Now, Wolf, if that is your name, Wolf, in sheep's clothing, Wolf, here we are. It's a sustained counterterrorism. It's a sustained counterterrorism campaign. I don't know if you want to call it a war. Come on. Well, jets are involved and bullets and, we do have combat troops on the ground, even though you say we don't. We've missiles flying every now and then, bombs and... Not. There's a difference. It's a major, sustained counterterrorism campaign. It's not a war. So everybody's confused. The sycophantic media's confused. We, regular people, we're confused. Even the enemy's confused. Wait a minute. What did he just declare? Did he declare war? No, he declared a major counterterrorism operation. There were many different moving parts. Oh, now I get it. Cut 2. Continue, please.
I think, frankly, this is a counterterrorism operation that will take time. It will be sustained. We will not have American combat forces on the ground fighting as we did in Iraq and Afghanistan, which is what I think the American people think of when they think of a war. So I think this is very different from that.
Oh, it's very different than that. So when all those bombs dropped on Dresden, by the Royal Air Force. Did they think that was war? No, that's a counterterrorism campaign, a sustained, with moving parts. Absolutely. That's not war. Are these people a joke, ladies and gentlemen, or what? Are you tired of people lying to you and deceiving you and treating you like you're stupid? Are jets involved? Yes. Other aspects of our military, like the Navy? Yes. That's a war. No. Moving parts. Unlike mashed potatoes' face, that has no left moving parts. And then there's Marie Harf. Say what? Marie Harf, the spokesidiot at the State Department, at a press briefing yesterday. Well, is this a war? Please, somebody help us. Cut 3, go.
Help me with this term, war on terrorism.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think I've ever used that term.
No, I'm just, Saeed used it earlier, 13 years on, he said this war on terrorism. Is that something that's out of the lexicon now of the U.S. government's comments on what's happening?
Well, certainly not how I would refer to our efforts.
Okay. Stop. Stop. Oh, jeez. First of all, this reporter. What's the deal there? Good Lord. Anyway, sounds like he works for the administration, not that he's asking questions. But anyway, well, that's not how I would refer to our efforts. Oh, these are efforts. Yes, they're efforts. It's not a war, it's efforts. Well, how would you refer to it, Marie Harf? Continue, please.
Second thing is that surely this direct U.S. bombing of Syria is really back into, without UN sanction or being involved.
Come on, pal, ask your damn question.
Back into the doctrine of preemption.
Is there a question?
Yeah, it's a question. Is that the road that we're traveling on now?
Well, I wouldn't use that term either. When we talk about...
No, look, I wouldn't use that term. I wouldn't use the war term. We'll tell you what terms to use. It's counterterrorism. A sustained counterterrorism campaign. Lots of moving parts. Now, you may think of it as a war. Just moving parts. Go.
How you degrade and defeat terrorist organizations. It's not exactly, I think, how you're probably using the term, and it's not one that I'm using. Our goal is to prevent terrorist organizations from being able to attack the United States or our interests, to degrade their capabilities to do so. Obviously, those are the kind of terms I would use. When it comes
is this woman like 14 years old in 9th grade sitting in the back of the room? Teacher, what? It's really not a war. What is it? Well, we're going to degrade the moving parts. Wait a minute, kid. Oh, yes, that's what we're going to do. So is everything cleared up for you, ladies and gentlemen? We had that magnificent presidential speech on Wednesday, and remember the lead up to the speech? Oh, the grand speech, historic speech. He's going to lay out a strategy. Oh, yes. What's the strategy? We're going to degrade and contain and destroy the enemy. Who's the enemy? I'm not saying, oh, it's the Islamo-Nazis. Don't say that. The Islamic State does not represent Islamic anything. What? Well, then what is it? Don't say Islamic State. Well, what shall we say? Just counterterrorism with moving parts. Well, why isn't it a war? Because it's not a war. There's no troops on the ground. Well, that's not the definition. It's our definition. So you may want to think it's a war, but we don't think in those terms. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The federal government's closed. It's 7:19 p.m. Eastern Time on the beloved East Coast. And we don't know what the hell we're doing. Is it war? I wouldn't use those terms. Counterterrorism? Oh, yes. No troops on the ground? That's right, except for the troops that are on the ground. What are you talking about? That's right. Oh, okay. And this is a threat to the United States, a direct threat to the United States. Oh, yes, it is. But if that Iraqi government doesn't get its act together, because they're the only ones that can fix this, we can give them air support, but, well, wait a minute, it's a direct threat on the United States. What do we care if the Iraqi government gets its act together, which it never will? Because there's moving parts. Don't you get it? No, I don't get it. Well, then there's Josh, not Ernest, the spokesidiot at the White House, hat tipped the right scoop. And I'm sure he'll straighten out this issue for us. Is this a war, Josh? Cut 11, go.
The administration hasn't wanted to call this a war on ISIS, but is it not a war?
The question that you're asking, though, goes to sort of the central question that is important for people to understand. This is not a situation where it's the United States against ISIL. The fact is, ISIL has...
Stop. First of all, we have an enemy called ISIL. Is this a trade union or something? Oh, yes. I belong to ISIL. These are Islamo-Nazis, not ISIL. The hell is this? Seriously. We're not at war with ISIL. I'm sitting here. What is this, Obama in Wonderland? Go ahead.
Indicated that they're ready to go to war against the world. This president, as is expected of American presidents, is stepping up to lead an international coalition to confront that threat. And
yes. Stop. We have an international coalition. Well, we're not going to war, so what do we need an international coalition for to go after ISIL? Seriously. Well, we'll show that ISIL. We've got an international coalition. Who's in it? The Brits? No. The Germans? No. The Turks? No. Who's in it? I don't know. But there it is. It's international. Well, who do we have? Qatar? No. We have this broad, deep, international coalition of the willing who've stepped up, who've organized, get together to fight a non-war. Go ahead.
And ultimately, this international coalition will be responsible for degrading and destroying ISIL. So I think what you could conclude from this is the United States is at war with ISIL in the same way that we are at war with Al-Qaeda and its Al-Qaeda affiliates all around the globe.
All right. There, he blew it at the end there, ladies and gentlemen. He will be corrected over the weekend. He'll have about 48 hours of internment in the Oval Office. That's right, internment in the Oval Office. They'll have a chalkboard there. We are not at war. And he'll have to write that over and over again. This is a substantial, sustained counterterrorism event with moving parts. And you can imagine what a rallying cry that is for the rest of the world. We need your help to put boots on the ground, which we refuse to do. We need your help to sustain a counterterrorism effort with moving parts. Who's with us? Hello, anybody with us? How about you over there, Britain? No, I'm not with you. How about you over there, Germany? We'll take a pass. Turkey? No, we're busy over here killing other people. Oh, all right. Well, this grand international coalition, how many countries are involved? That's classified. So we built this huge international coalition. We don't know who's in it yet, but there they are. It's a huge international coalition. If Obama says it, it must be true. And Obama says, look, we might even bomb Syria. So the British foreign minister, Philip Howman, he got wind of this, and he wanted to make something perfectly clear. Cut 4, go.
Let me be clear. Britain will not be taking part in any airstrikes in Syria. I can be very clear about that.
Well, that's very comforting. So Britain won't participate in any airstrikes in Syria. Turkey won't give us any air bases, our friend from NATO. We can't even get our allies to participate. But don't worry, the Arab League is in. And who's in the Arab League? Whatever. How about the Saudis? Will they participate? No, they said no. And I say with all due respect, the inbreds there, they know how to tell us to do something while they don't. Well, surely we can get the Kuwaitis and the Jordanians. That'll do. That'll scare the hell out of ISIL. It's like a cheer, isn't it, Mr. Producer? What is this, the Mickey Mouse Club? No, we can't call them what they are because the Islamic State for this and that has nothing to do with Islam. Pardon me? That's right. And it's not a state either. Oh, so what's that caliphate there, that big? That's not a state. In other words, they don't have any borders. That's right. You mean like our southern border, no borders. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's about right, too. Let's take some calls here. I mean, you'll lose your mind over this stuff if you don't mock them, and that's what I'm doing, mocking them, because they make no sense. Now, that would be fine if they were just on MSLSD, but this is our government.